So guys, I was I saw something on YouTube. It was on it was like a documentary, and it was about how this man he was married to this lady. She had three children prior to them being together, and they got married, and I guess he had some very abusive ways. As the investigation unfolded, they realized this man had a history of severe abuse to women in his past, right? So she had been dating him for a bit, and then she married him within a month of getting married to him. I guess she was going through some pretty severe physical abuse. Her children were overhearing this. She had two sons. One was 9, the other was 12, and then they had a younger sister who was 6 years old. All prior to him coming in the relationship. What ended up happening, long story short, was the wife wanted a divorce. She just couldn't do it anymore, and he killed everybody. He attempted to kill the two boys, but it didn't happen. Like it failed, and he actually tried to stab them and do these things to them, but they begged for their lives. And in talking to him, he actually changed and taught them into getting him some clothes, and he drove away and spared their lives, right? But in the meantime, before he left, he took them, before he actually left and did all that other stuff, um he had killed their mother and the sister. They had a 6-year-old sister. This man killed the mom and the sister, right? And excuse me. So brutally killed the mother, okay? And stabbed her like over 27 times. And then what he did before he had done that, he tied up the daughter, 6 years old, bind her hand and foot, and had her watch him murder the mother. Then he took her into the bathroom, filled up the tub with water, drowned her. Okay. And then the two boys, they were actually at church. He picked up the two boys from church, attempted to kill them in the house. Somehow the boys talked him out of it, and he took off. But his attempt was to do a murder suicide. He had planned to kill all of them and then kill himself. So, my brothers and sisters, why am I telling you all of this stuff? These are the works of the flesh. These are the works of the flesh. And I'm trying to tell you, I'm going to tell you what the Lord revealed to me. Every last one of us, the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these. What? Murders, drunkenness, revelries, just all types of stuff. Every last one of us, in our flesh dwells no good thing, and within you are capable of doing the most horrific things you never thought is possible. If you keep feeding into your flesh and allowing your flesh to get momentum, it will take you further than you will ever imagine. A lot of times people will look and say, well, he was crazy, he was this. No, he probably was been walking in disobedience, anger, all these different things, and it eventually propelled him where he became an abusive man that eventually did what? Killed. Because he didn't kill nobody before, but he had a history of assault. And the more you feed into that, an angry spirit, it's going to take you further. He's now on death row in Hinesville, Texas. Okay? What the Lord wants me to share with y'all, and this may sound so crazy, and I've done a video on this before, is your flesh will take you further than you ever intended. What that man did, those awful things, that stuff is in your flesh. But you have never done that. I've never done that either. Okay? But if you play with sin in one area, it will fuse to other things and create this domino effect where you end up doing more than you ever thought. Every last one of us have certain things that we've done in our lives that we said we'd never do, but you found you did one thing, and then it did one thing, And as you join with other people and you meet other people, or you get more bold with it, you do more than you intended. This can be just, listen, you never intended and thought that you'd be with a married man, but you end up being with a married man because you start off lusting and doing different things, and you were fornicating and things of that nature. And then that led you to something where, okay, you end up with someone who's married. Okay. You never intended to be a person that's going to be robbing the stores and doing all of that, but you started off doing little things and it took you there. A lot of people who is in prison for murder, they didn't intend to. They just did little things. So my brothers and sisters in Christ, I'm not saying that you're going to do what this man did, and I sure am not going to do it. But what I'm trying to tell you is, when you are walking in sin, see, don't think there's petty sins that's going to lead you to bigger sins. Don't think this is a small sin. Satan is so smart in that he'll make you think this little thing that you've been doing and practicing. You see, you practice something and you get good at it. So he'll make you think this is not a big deal. But what it is, it opens you up to the next thing. It opens you to level 2. It opens you to level 3. It opens you to level 4. And then you find yourself, another person come along in your life that fuses something in you and brings you to level 10, which includes something that you never intended. Armed robbery, rape. You understand that? Being a witness to a murder, being accomplished to something, being at the wrong place at the wrong time when a murder or something's going to go down, but then you become guilty by association, or you being carried out in a body bag because of where you're at. I share that horrific story with you, my brothers and sisters, how these two young men right now, their lives are forever changed. They are traumatized, never be the same. They have nightmares about seeing the body of their sister and their mother, okay? But what I'm trying to show you, what the Lord showed me that I'm sharing with you today, is that in our flesh, all the things that you read about and you hear about, that's in your flesh too. That's in your flesh too. What caused that person to do that and not you? Number one, the grace of God. The hedge of God around you. And there's certain things they probably have done. You see, sometimes they just did this little thing, but coming along, it fused with some generational. When you go into sin, there be some generational curses and some demonic entities and things that fuse from things that you just thought you're just doing this little thing, but it opens you up to get opening up yourself to where darkness comes in on a far greater level and magnitude than you intended. And then you are just on autopilot. You find that you're doing things autonomously because you suddenly have these appetites and desires that you didn't have before, because you open up yourself to demonic entrances. When you do not obey the Lord, you're opening up yourself to spiritual wickedness in heavenly places that the Word of God talks about in Ephesians 6. Our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and the rulers of the darkness in spiritual places and spiritual wickedness in heavenly places. So your government, certain things that you will see, certain countries where it seems that they have a communist type mentality, a totalitarian, a dictatorship. Over in America, you'll see stuff where it's a bunch of it's turned into a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, we may look at the persons that opened up, that allowed these things to happen and made these things legal, but behind them is a spirit, okay? So it's the same spirit that Jesus was casting out. A lot of spirits that he was casting out, you find in the New Testament, they affected the behavior of people, the things that they did, even sickness. So don't play with sin, my brothers and sisters. Sin will always take you further than you intended. You thought you was going to get off at the next stop. Listen, I grew up in New York, and it was like, we have the train. We know the number 2, the number 3 train, all these trains, right? But then they had a train that's the express train. That means if I take the number 2, it's going to do all the locals and it's going to stop at each stop that train line goes to. But if I take like the 4 train, it's an express. So what's going to happen is that train is going to pass by all those other stops, and it's going to stop at a designated spot further out. So if I don't want to stop at each little area, I get on the express. I get on the 4 express train, and it's going to take me straight down to take me where I need to go a little faster. So a lot of times what's happening, people are sinning, and you thinking, well, I'm just going to sin this much. I'm just going to get off here. I'm going to get off here. But you don't realize sin is that express train. It will take you a further than you thought, further than you intended. And what I'm telling you is the more you sin, let's be honest, you may not have never murdered a person, but if you think of certain things that you have done that you was like, man, I would have never thought I would have done this. Exactly. You never thought you would have done it. But as you play with it, you did. A lot of times, my brothers and sisters, God got his hedge around you. I even see some of y'all doing some things where, listen, some of you ladies, you messing around with these men and you don't know in the back of that man's head, he'll cut you up. He'll cut you up and hide you. Spread you all over the place. Don't do it. Stop. Sometimes when God gives you a way out, get out. When God tells you to go, go. Young man, when God is telling you stop running with this crowd, stop doing it, because you don't know what's going to happen. You'll be behind bars for the rest of your life, or you'll be 6 feet under. Some of y'all, sometimes sin, my brothers and sisters, is not even that you go to jail or you get killed. Sometimes it will be just a war in your head, and you find yourself that you keep sinning, and it opens you up to these demonic spirit that keeps telling you in your head to do something to your own self. Sin is torment. So run to the Lord and ask him to forgive you and to help you to obey him. Obey him. We're not perfect, but my brothers and sisters, sin will take you further than you ever intended. And I'm not sitting here trying to speak death on anyone, but I had to share with you that all the atrocities and the craziness that you see that we read about and we go, oh my God, that comes from the flesh. And we have flesh on us. And that's the disposition of the flesh. Each and every one of us, even though I never think to do certain things, you have to realize that this flesh has to be kept under subjection, because only by the grace of God has he kept you from doing certain things. But don't think you're better than that person and you're in a better place, in a better condition. When you play with the flesh will any one of those works of the flesh that the flesh feels like bringing into your life, it's going to do it. Whether it's you or you meet somebody that's further, that's more willing, darker, they done lost their conscience, no light in them no more, they'll take you further, or they bring that to you. You see, sometimes in your home and in your space, God's got his hedge around you, but you know what, you just got to be with this man so bad, you just got to be with this person so bad, you already seen some red flags, but you let them come in and they bring that darkness in you. And if you have children, that's all, they're in danger. Sometimes they're in danger. Obey the Lord. Don't sleep on sin, and don't play with it. It will take you a lot further than you intended. All right, guys. Peace out.